Look. A few months back, we recorded. A few months back? When do we record Top Gun? When do we watch and record Top Gun?
Few months back. Lord have mercy. Try a few years back.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I looked at it the other day. I'll confirm, but it was 2020. I can't remember if it was like pre-COVID or COVID is new and mysterious.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a while ago, we recorded Top Gun.
Yes.
And because this movie was delayed so much, like Top Gun Maverick was delayed so much,
Right.
when at the time that we recorded it, there was already a trailer out for Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I had seen the trailer for Top Gun Maverick, and I had no interest. I was like, whatever. It's a sequel to that movie that I've never seen and don't care about.
It's a sequel to the movie of that you haven't seen and you don't care about, of the actor you don't like and you don't care about.
Yeah, and I have a hot take about that later, but
drop it now. Drop it now, unless it makes sense to do it later.
Just let me finish this thought.
100%.
And had it not been for the podcast, I likely would have never seen the first Top Gun. I certainly would not have gone to see, like, it had that not happened. I certainly wouldn't have, maybe eventually someday I wouldn't have rushed out to watch Top Gun Maverick in the theater.
Right. Oh, boy.
In IMAX, no less.
No less.
And so it's just interesting. And I went into Top Gun Maverick with genuine excitement, like genuine, once the tickets were bought and we were talking, like Brianne and I were like, we brought it up all week, like, ooh, Tuesday is Top Gun Day. Yeah. So it's just weird. It's just a weird thing for me that the podcast put me in a place where I was excited, not only excited for Top Gun, but again, like you said, I was excited for a Tom Cruise movie.
Right.
So that is the weird world that I'm living in right now.
Yep. Well, welcome to our weird world, to the Movie Men podcast. I'm Peter. The weirded out person over there is Brady. Yeah. And we are recording Top Gun Maverick, the new release. So do you want the hot take? It's up to you, because there will be no trivia this week. So the first thing we get into is our initial impressions. So you can take me, or you can
hot take you. I'll take you hotly. This movie ended, or even like maybe partway through, and I thought to myself, why don't I like Tom Cruise? And so then I started thinking about, like, okay, what are Tom Cruise movies that I don't like? Like what are the things about him that I don't like? And I genuinely now think that maybe sort of on a whim, or just because I didn't like him because I wasn't interested in many of his movies, or whatever it was, or I think he maybe had like a little bit of a cocky phase that he went through, as far as like whatever. But I was like, I don't know. I was like, not only do I really enjoy Tom Cruise in anything I've seen him in, technically, and we'll talk a lot about some of the technical aspects of this film and how it was made, and the type of person that Tom Cruise is as a film producer, as a film enthusiast. I have mad respect for the guy. And I'm like, I genuinely think that my hatred for Tom Cruise for the last, who knows how, several years, has just been like, had become a part of my brand.
It was a bit.
And so I was like dying on this hill that I didn't even have really, like, I didn't have a dog in this hunt. And like, so I think I like Tom Cruise.
Wow.
Yeah. There it is. Thank you for listening.
That is a scolding hot take. And I mean,
right?
Tune in next week when you say you realize you love James Marsden as well.
No, I
can stand firm on that.
I have examples of why I think he's a wiener. Yeah, no, that's not. No,
that's not changing.
Okay. Yeah, and like it's particularly like The Notebook. I'm like, God, I just hate you in that movie. God, yeah. Man.
Okay.
So you went to go see Top Gun, did you?
I certainly did.
Good on you.
Oh.
What'd you think in 100 words or less?
Sure. Well, I guess I'll give my initial impression. And do you want that to be your initial impression, or will you take on some initial
No,
impression?
I guess I typically start the initial impressions, don't I?
Why don't you start it? You lay it on. Finish it off.
Okay. This is better than the first Top Gun in, I won't say every way, but in a lot of ways. This is a visually stunning movie, particularly in IMAX. And this is, and I don't mean, I'm not meaning like the common cliche use of this word. I am meaning like going back to the origins of the word and what it meant back in like the Renaissance era. This film is Tom Cruise's masterpiece. This is a movie that Tom Cruise will never top. And rightfully so.
Right.
And I genuinely feel, and just like everyone who was involved, all of the actors who did the flight training and who did like the underwater submersible right. training, so that if they had to eject, and so like,
yeah,
there's not a single person who was a part of this film that shouldn't right now be patting themselves on the back.
Right.
That shouldn't take a big, long, deep breath and go, look what we made together.
Sure.
This film is a masterpiece. Not just like, people throw the word masterpiece around and they don't actually know what it means.
For sure.
No, this is the crescendo. This is the whatever you want. Like this is
the cherry on top. The cherry on top.
This is the souffle of the culinary student. This is the
right.
This is the so ridiculous that why even bother? Like it's not like, why would you? There's much cheaper, much easier, almost maybe kind of passable visually ways to do a film. That everything that they did and the commitment that they had to delivering this experience, there's no other film like this film. And it just puts a big smile on my face thinking about what they created. So
we've come a long way. I looked it up. February 2020 was when we hit the original up. And wow, what a ways we've come.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I adore this. I am taken aback. I am bewildered. I am flabbergasted. I am I am not worthy of this film in so many ways. Like it's incredible. It is an incredible experience.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give my initial impression, and I think there's just so much to break down here. I've got a list of dislikes and likes, and maybe that's a way to tackle it, but I want to lay my initial impression on you.
Please do.
So, and after you say, this isn't part of my initial impression, but it seems like a good time to say this. A couple of weeks ago, you asked me about all these trailers that had dropped, and you said, Pete, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And I said, no. And one of them that I finally did see, and I saw it in theater, is coincidentally the
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible trailer. And
Dead Reckoning or something, part 1?
Part 1, yeah. The part 1 was news to me. And man, I am just thirsty. Like I am so eager to get on the Mission Impossible train, not knowing a thing about that whole series. That 8th film just looks so tasty. Particularly
the final shot of the trailer where he's like jumps off the cliff with the motorcycle. And you know that he did that without harnesses, without a stunt double, without green screen.
Yeah,
that is him. He trained how to do it so that he could do it, and then the guy's got to be a damn parachuting expert like that. Nobody had to teach him how to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so here's my initial impression and backstory. I love the original Top Gun, and I thought about this. The best way I can compare it, I obviously didn't grow up with it, wasn't alive and aware enough in the 80s to go see it when it came out. But I did see it about 10 years ago, and it was my Bad Boys. Because you have a story about Bad Boys where you watched it with someone and you turned at the person you watched it with, and like you were like one character and that person was like another. And you've got some sentimental component. That was Top Gun for me. I watched it at the time, and I was like the single guy, and I watched it with my friend who was married. So he was the Goose, I was the Maverick. And then I also just got a kick out of it, got also emotional about what happened to Goose in the previous film. So like, haven't grown up with it, so to speak, but I've watched it long enough ago that I've grown nostalgic feelings towards it. So that's my background. But going into this, I was excited, obviously. And I think it boils down to there's two different merits that I'll kind of be weaving in and out, and you'll probably be weaving in and out with me. There's two merits that we will talk about today that this film did. One is a theater-going experience, and the other is just a film. And I think the challenge that you have with any sequel, especially one this charged by time and popularity, is feeding on nostalgia and the story itself. So
right. So not just a film, but a successor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just, I can't describe enough the vibe that I had when I went and saw this. So like, I felt like I was in the 1980s because I had to wait in the longest line I've been in for years to see a film. Wasn't quite opening day, but it was pretty close. And there was there was a buzz, not only in like the lobby for waiting for tickets, there was a buzz in the theater when everyone was waiting for it. And this is so unique to me, and maybe it's just COVID and magnifying it a little bit, but I had the utmost water cooler effect where literally a dozen people after, like at work, at different places, asked me, how was it? What did you think? I saw you saw it. What did you think? Like, it's so different from nowadays where most films, for example, a streaming film where people say, hey, what are you watching? Oh, I'm watching streaming film X. And they go, oh, sweet. Well, let's talk about the next thing. Like, this was a focal talking point that everyone was plugged into. And that's why it had that nostalgic theater going experience that was just, we haven't had, I don't know, I want to say in years, pre-streaming services.
Right.
It was just so unique. So that experience was phenomenal.
Well, and this is probably a collection of, like, the people who are asking you this are probably a collection of people who would now probably consider you a quasi-film pundit, right? Someone who is known for going to see a movie and then form thoughts, essay style opinions about it. Yeah.
So, okay. My initial impressions. The first 3 minutes, oh my Lord, lived up to the height. Oh my Lord.
of the nostalgia.
Oh, and everything.
The like same bike, the jacket,
but just the danger zone, but like amazing visuals versus like grainy, foggy ones. Just that opening sequence, like I got goosebumps. I was physically smiling. So yeah, there was just amazing moments that lived up to the hype. As far as the film goes, my initial impressions, there's some additions or some tweaks that I quite honestly would have made. And it would have bumped it to the level of being an amazing film or an incredible film for me. So I do have some faults with it. And it's actually, as a theater-going experience, phenomenal. As a film itself, I've got some problems with it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so my last part of the initial impression, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's also part of a problem that I've got, it's just the whole moral of the original one was, hey, from beginning to end, we've got this continuity, this theme of like, hey, you're loose cannon, and you got to learn and, learn to not only care for others, but be there for each other. And this one, like, I know there's more walkways than this, but like the first thing that stood out to me wasn't as transcending. It was like, hey, the moral of this story was Miles Tanner drives too slow and he should drive faster and think less.
Miles Teller. Yeah.
Miles Teller. Sorry, I wrote Tanner. Stupid autocorrect. Unless he is a Tanner.
Yeah, you don't have an issue with that with a pen and paper. Just so you know.
So I guess in not in every sense I was not in the 80s. So yeah, my initial impression, theater going experience, amazing. The film, okay, but I've got some problems.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I, before we actually dig into it, I also want to bring up, I raising things of yesterday. You brought up us talking about the original. I want to take exception to an exception you took about the original film.
Okay.
You mentioned back in the day that Tom Cruise corrected people when they said, "Oh, are you a pilot?" And he said, "No, I'm a naval aviator." At the time, I didn't have a problem with this, but now I totally get it. Like, if I'm at a party and people say, "Hey, are you a pilot?" I'm going to clarify and say, no. Like, I'm not just driving like a bush plane on my grandma's field. I am a naval aviator.
Yeah. I guess.
I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up, but I did.
I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example. It'd be like, if I asked you, okay, so put it into another context, right? If I'm like, oh, you're a cook, and you're like, I'm a chef. I'd be like, okay, douchebag. Like,
listen, there's some arrogance and cockiness that goes along with it, but
take
to a degree,
Michelin stars and shove them up your ass. Like, I just,
right, okay.
It'd be different because it's not like he's like, oh, it's not like someone's making a genuine error where they're like, oh, you're a captain. Actually, I'm an admiral. Right? That's a little different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? Or like, oh, I'm a nurse. Oh, you're a nurse. I'm a nurse practitioner. Right. Okay. Well, come off it. Like, what are you doing?
Agree to disagree.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Okay. What do you want to tackle first?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of things I don't know if I have a list of dislikes.
Let's go into dislikes, and it might be
let's
short
end on
for
a
you,
high note.
And we can end it on the high note because there are more highs than lows to talk about. Definitely.
I would hope so.
Okay, so again, this is all just, you have to keep in mind, obviously there's some nostalgia in mind, so some of this I'm critiquing, and it's just hard to be just not always biased about what I wanted to see versus what's a good story and this and that. But it's still what's on my heart as a fan and a quote-unquote film, I don't want to say critic, but a film observer.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I mean, at some point you need to just call yourself a film critic.
I feel like we're having the pilot naval aviator argument all over again.
Almost, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that I'll classify as a dislike is just that Charlie is MIA. And I understand that there's the practicalities of it, that there may not, there may not have been a willingness for the actor to come back or a desire of the creative team to bring her back. So it's not as simple as should they have done it or not. But to a degree, it does dampen some of what we saw in the film as far as Maverick's previous fling. And so as it relates to Charlie being MIA, I feel like Penny is a bit of a character that we don't know, so therefore don't care as much about. And I understand that she's referenced in the first film by name about like the general's daughter who they did a flyby over.
Right.
But I honestly, just with Charlie being MIA and Penny, I honestly would have been maybe just as fine as if there was no quasi-romantic interest and it was just all platonic relationships and friendships and more focusing on Miles' relationship.
So I too think that it was missing an explanation for why she wasn't there. Some sort of, him dealing with whatever, right? He effed up and that's why she's gone.
Yep.
Having said that, I prefer the Penny Maverick relationship.
Penny Maverick. Yeah.
To me, it felt more, it was more playful. It was more, the whole like, let's just not start again this time. Let's not, the sneaking out of the bedroom window. And then was it Amelia? Is that the daughter?
Yeah, I think
right,
so.
Being right there at the window when he lands in the driveway and stuff like that. I was like, this is just a more playful, the way she like ropes him into buying the whole bar around and like, to me, it was more, it felt less cliche. Like the Charlie one is like, well, of course he's gonna try to sleep with the one female in this whole getup and like, and she's gonna, even though she has no reason to fall for him, she's going to, and blah 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 blah. Whereas this just felt more like, okay, you know what? It's an old flame. They've been on again, off again every time he's in town. He's broken her heart before. Type of and it just, to me, it felt more believable.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess some of this I can see the merits in what you're saying, but also counter-arguing, I'm also wondering if the reasons it works so much is because Maverick, to me, is a bit more of a richer character and he's matured a bit and he's not as much of a loose cannon, right? So I'm wondering if that complexity is what also enriches the Penny dynamic.
Well, and I mean, Tom Cruise is likely also just a better actor now.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah. Okay. Just a little thing. I wish they had used the original Navy bar as opposed to this new bar, and that's just, I think that's nostalgia. That's not a problem with filmmaking decisions, but I think I just would have liked that.
Yeah, it's also been like 35 years, and maybe that bar is closed. Like,
I don't care.
But do you know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know. Something has been, businesses go out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. When I saw Lady Gaga's name across the introduction credits, I was a little excited, and I guess I just have to say a dislike is the end credit song with her. It hasn't really hooked me yet, and I've listened to it a few times to just try and get into it, and there's something about it falls flat to me, and something about it falls flat in comparison to the old 50s style of You've Lost That Loving Feeling that closed the old film. And I know, I know you got to veer away from from just doing the same thing over again, and you want to be authentic to this film, but honestly, and I had this in the back of my mind, and I didn't think this was actually very likely, but I'm there for this. If you want to infuse the new film with new energy and get Lady Gaga involved, have Lady Gaga do a cover of Take My Breath Away and have Tom Cruise revving around the sunset to Take My Breath Away with Lady Gaga, and I am there for that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is something I missed. I missed that.
I don't dislike the song, but I would agree that it falls flat. And
sure,
I've put some thought into it, and I think what it is, I think it makes a good movie song, but I don't think it's a good song. Like, I have no desire to sing along to it. And that is one of the things that makes it a good song. So I think it's a good movie song.
Yep.
But I don't think it's necessarily a good song on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I really wanted Take My Breath Away to come back, and I understand that wouldn't make sense really with Charlie gone, because that was kind of their theme. And I also remember, like, Berlin, I think, was kind of upset with how pro-war their song was perceived to be. So I'm wondering if there was some contractual issues with using it. I don't know. But I would have enjoyed that coming back. I loved the new dynamics of this story, but something that missing was there was a few connections to the old film that I just wanted a bit of a rinse, cycle, repeat on a new canvas.
Which is interesting to me because I think the film, in many ways, is so rinse, recycle, repeat, or whatever.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
You know, like
in a lot
there's
of ways.
a lot of like, oh, okay, we're just hitting the same plot points that we hit last time.
For sure. The Goose flashback was flirting with perfection, and I put it in the dislike just because I think they didn't take it quite as far as I wanted to. And there's a specific soundtrack that they used. It's called Memories from the original film. It's like the emotional, slow song. They use it when Goose passes away, and it gets me tear-jerking every time. And they used it a little bit, but I think they just didn't quite fully let that scene bloom. And so, like, I felt it kind of climbing, and then, like, it just kind of ended. And I just thought that whole sequence with the flashbacks could have just done a little bit aesthetically a bit differently, and with the music used a little bit differently. And so I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Right. But that was just, my last thing. And this is the last dislike. And these are all issues that, again, drive it down from not being an amazing film that matched its theater-going experience. Was just the relationships were a little dry for me. And that's the whole power of the original film. Like, the original film, the visuals are kind of poor in comparison, just awful, and the driving force was the characters. So in this one, the new recruits were kind of flat for me, and I get it, they're not the main characters, but the closest thing as far as emotionally powerful and charged was the whole Tom Cruise saying thanks for saving me to Miles, and Miles says that's what my dad would have done. That hit, that was good, but I honestly just thought I would have preferred Miles to have reconciled with Tom Cruise before they actually did. And I think there was a bit too much animosity between them, and it did too much harm as a movie relationship. I would have liked them to develop a bit more and focus more on the relationship on screen. And for me, that would have been using the same formula to a positive from the previous film. Like, instead of Miles talking about people, like Maverick about people, and Maverick talking about people with Miles, just have them actually building a relationship and just maybe avoiding some of the schism that kind of put a glass ceiling on how we could feel until the very end.
I mean, but they do start to kind of, like, a moment that I really enjoyed was when during the football game, when Rooster helps Maverick up.
Sure.
And that was just kind of like he's working, like, I think it was less in our face. But I did feel like there were kind of nuances there that you know.
It wasn't, you're right, like, it wasn't without its moments of having some character richness and existence of captivating moments, but I feel like they just could have done a bit better. And this is the last thing. I wish, like, of all the nostalgic characters coming back, the actor who played Viper, the old teacher in the 86 movie, he's 88 years old, but it looks like he's still acting. I would have loved if at some point he had come to be Maverick's co-pilot, because he did hint at that at the end of the previous film when they sent Maverick off to his battle and said, hey, if no one flies with you, I'll come along with you. And I would have just got a kick out of if he just popped out of a corridor on one of those ships and been like, let's go, Mav. But
it feels to me like I think he would have, in my opinion, I think he would have been too old for that to make that believable.
Sure.
But I don't think I understand why he wasn't at Iceman's funeral. Right? Like, if you're going to have him pop up, put him there in a wheelchair or whatever. He's a war vet.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that would have been a nice touch.
Or even to come to Maverick's aid and tell John Hamm to put him in his place to say, hey, stop bringing out Maverick.
Yeah.
Some such, but yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so things we love.
Yes.
I loved, just piggybacking off what you just said, I love John Hamm in this film.
I can agree with that.
I think he's so good. I loved, like, and I mean, how can you know? I think you're a monster if you don't enjoy Val Kilmer's cameo in this. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. What an emotional It's just an emotional scene. Like it's so well done.
It definitely. I was curious how they were going to exactly go about doing that, and
how
it
they would
was
tackle the elephant in the room. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it was done in a way, and I think that scene again. It wasn't the most perfect scene in the Maverick series. It's not the one that I cried to, but I think it speaks a bit to Tom Cruise's acting chops that he's maybe grown since 1986, and not to take anything away from Val Kilmer, but like where a lot of the screen time was focused on just Maverick, where instead of us being annoyed or kind of tired of what he was saying, we were kind of intrigued with this interaction between two people. As with, I'm not sure 24-year-old Tom Cruise could have pulled that scene off.
Not likely. No. Obviously they dubbed him over. Like that's not him. That's not Val Kilmer talking.
I don't understand medically, because I read somewhere that he has like a computerized voice that's digitally rendered digital voice of his own that he kind of uses. So I don't know if it was dubbed over or if that's his voice that he uses. I'm not sure exactly.
Right. Okay. But it wasn't it wasn't his actual genuine voice.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Because I rewatched a couple interviews with him after the fact, and yeah, he's not.
Okay.
He's not capable of sounding like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I loved that. And I want to say, like, obviously I loved the technical aspect of this film, and we'll get into that. But I think the winning moment of this movie for me, the moment that I was just like grinning ear to ear, was while John Hamm is in the middle of explaining why Maverick's plan isn't possible.
Okay.
And Maverick hijacks an F-18. And does it 15 seconds faster.
Right.
And everyone, all of these Top Gun students who up until this point have been lukewarm to Tom Cruise at best, are now rooting for him. And even John Hamm stops, like it for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, everyone just stops and watches this. And even John Hamm is like, yeah, like he doesn't tell anyone to like shut it off or like,
which I was expecting.
Yeah. But he's just like, he just watches it because he's just as enthralled by what's happening. I think the story makes sense. I think that what they did from a plot standpoint avoided making this feel like a sequel that was just kind of shoehorned into our collection. Because that would have been easy. It would have been easy to do it in a really cheesy kind of, I don't know if this makes a lot of sense, kind of, there's just like too many convenient plot devices. And I never felt that way. And the stakes felt higher because now all of a sudden we're not the best of the best equipment wise. And so that was really interesting. And just what was at stake and how impossible the mission seemed. Like how many getting it just right there needed to be. There was no room for error. And obviously it didn't go entirely according to plan. And so that was exciting, and stealing the enemy jet was exciting. And
the bag of ass is Miles called it.
Yeah. And like, it's, I don't know. For me, the film was a perfect combination of throwbacks to the original while also blazing its own trail.
Which is it's a hard balance to have.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Because you could be just too much. You're either side of this thin line, and either it just feels like a remake and a ripoff, or it feels not like Top Gun. So I thought that was great in the way they did that. Like I said, I loved the romantic relationship that was in it. And I just loved that, like, Maverick still had growing to do. Right? Like, he still hadn't gotten over or let go of the guilt or the trauma that he had over losing Goose. And that it was sort of like reignited because now Rooster was a part of this team. And Rooster was carrying quite a grudge for what happened. Not only for what happened with that, but because Tom Cruise held up a promise to, like, he did basically, career sabotage.
Yeah.
But not because he was holding up Meg Ryan's promise.
Son. Yeah.
And so, and was noble enough not to ever disclose that. Right. He says, like, he already resents me. Why should he also resent his mother?
Which, I might be a lesser man, but I think I would do it in a tactful way. But I think in that scenario, I have to have a conversation with the individual and say, sorry, this is what's happening.
Yeah. But he didn't. And I was
didn't.
Good for you, man.
I will say on your point that I think you phrased it that he still has growing to do. I think the fine balance that they really hit with this is that he does still have growing to do. He does have these demons to shake. He does have to move on from these things, but he's not the same person he was in 1986. So I think it's a very good sweet spot that they've hit, that he is different. He's grown. He's a better person, or at least a different person, but he still has more to do. So I think just the maturity levels of just the Iceman conversations, or going with Penny and we think, okay, this is going to be a hanky-panky scene, and then they're just having a deep conversation with each other in bed instead of like eating each other's faces in blue haze like in the previous film. So like,
yeah,
I think you're right, but the reason that it was good was because he is a richer character at this point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. What are things that you loved? I loved the film. That is my...
Yeah.
I loved everything.
This is cliche, but the visuals, and probably not for the exact same reasons for you. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate everything. I appreciate the technical aspect of how they filmed cockpit scenes and training pilots and all that stuff, but that's not what I want to hit on, because that seems more up your alley. I was reading this sounds archaic, but I was reading a magazine article about this.
Whoa. Was it like, what kind of, is this one of those? No, I read it for the ads. Like,
no.
Oh,
it was like a film magazine.
I'm like, I don't know what kind of interviews, get this month's issue of Playboy with the exclusive behind the scenes of Top Gun.
So it was like a 4 or 5 page article with interviews and whatnot, but it had like full page or 2 page like panned out shots, and it just helped me relive certain scenes that I think I overlooked at the time. And they're not even climactic scenes. Like, there's scenes where the other co-pilots are doing push-ups and just like the sunset and beaming over the plane, or the skyline in the background during some of the test runs, and just subtle things that I didn't appreciate at first, that I looked back on seeing still images and going, that was pleasing. There was so much going on at the time that I didn't fully soak it in, but just visually, the 1986 film was always known as style over substance. Like, it was always known for like having cool fighter jet scenes and cool visuals, and that's why people loved it. But this film, like, it doesn't even compare. Just how just at the 4K or whatever K resolution of just seeing beautiful images, that really was just so pleasing. So pleasing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, okay, so now that we're talking about visuals,
mm-hmm.
Technically, this film is insane. Because there are no green screen or composited cockpit shots.
Right. Yes.
There are no green screen shots of F-18s flying past. Even stuff like launching, when they're in the cockpit and they're launching it off of the aircraft carrier with that like slingshot thing. That's all happening.
Right.
And like, it wasn't just so like, yes, all of these actors had to do 3 months of training.
That's a lot.
Prior to this. But like, and that was just to be able to be in the cockpits and do some of the flying that they were doing and stuff like that. Yep. But like, it's not just that. It's also like because you can't send a film crew up in the cockpit. So they've got these small IMAX rigs that the actors are having to turn on and set up. And it's not just as simple as like, okay, turn it on and hit record. Tom Cruise was like teaching them about lighting and how to like you are it. You are the when you're up there, this actor, some of the actors in this, like Miles Teller is obviously a bigger name, but some of them weren't. And so now you're having conversations about, look, while you're up there, you are the director, you are the cinematographer, you are the camera operator, you are the gaffer, you are you are everything. And that is why there's over 800 hours of footage shot for this film.
Right?
Listen, and IMAX is a different experience. Like it's not just a bigger screen with more rumbly seats are shaking as the jet turns on kind of sound. It's also a different aspect ratio, right? I saw more at the top and bottom of my picture than you saw when you went to go see it. And I'll tell you what, there is no, and this isn't just because IMAX certainly enhanced this, but this is because of the way it's shot. Listen, there is 0 cockpit shots where you don't feel like you're in the cockpit with them.
Right.
Because it's so real. Like, you compare it to other things, like even newer Star Wars films and stuff, and you're in like the X-Wing cockpit with Oscar Isaacs, and you're like, okay, yeah, like, this is cool and it looks fun and stuff, but I feel like I'm watching a movie.
Right.
When I watched this, I was like, I feel like I'm in an F-18 jet. Like, I feel sucked into this.
Yeah.
In a way that I think was probably only achievable the way that they shot this. And that's why, like, and this was incredibly expensive, incredibly complicated, incredibly troublesome, which is why, and I've said this several times before, and I'm not abandoning this post, no film prior to this has ever been made in this way. And I would be very shocked if any film is ever made this way again.
Oh, 100%.
This is a cinematic landmark. This is a, when you, 50 years from now, when you're teaching history of film and theory of film in film school, you can't not talk about this, because this was, this is something done on a scale that has never been done and will likely never be done ever again.
Which just piggybacks onto your hot take, and it's a thought that I had leading up to watching this film too. And I was actually having a conversation with a friend of the show, Zach, and just about how Tom Cruise is one of the select few movie stars left, and you and I have had this conversation as well. And again, when you're describing that, what was done for this film, what was unique about it happening, and what will likely never happen again, is just another feather in the cap of this was something that Tom Cruise was spearheading, and he is a unicorn among the final handful of movie stars, that not only that he spearheaded this, but that he felt so strongly about it that postponing it because he had a vision for this and said, no, this cannot be a streaming film. It has to be on a big screen to have people fully appreciate it so they can feel like they're in an F-18. And that's what happened. And just how iconic of a blockbuster this was as a result, where it wasn't just, hey, I'll catch this when it comes on Netflix. It's like, no, circle the calendar. It's an event, a throwback to like in the 80s. And Tom Cruise is all at the center of this. And it just goes into, I am now drinking the Tom Cruise Kool-Aid. Like I was always in on Top Gun, but now I'm in on MI8 or MI7 or whichever one we're on. And just Tom Cruise, his mystique as a actor alone, not as a human being, but as an actor, is just so wild. Well, and that's, like you say, Tom Cruise is a movie star. I think he's transcended that, though, because literally this was like, he didn't direct this film, he didn't write it, but he was running this show. I read an interview in like 2011 where someone met him on set of a different film. I think it was a Mission Impossible film. And where it was someone he knew, so it wasn't a stranger, but they said, okay, so-and-so, you've got 30 minutes between sets. You can chat it out. And Tom Cruise had always had a vision where he said, we're not just making it for the sake of making it, but we got to have a vision and see what we're doing here. And he literally was convinced. He's like, yeah, I think you're right. Tom saying this, Tom saying, yeah, I think you're right. There's a story here. This is how we're going to do it. And literally got on the phone with the studio and was like, this is what I will do this, but this is how we're going to do it. And this is what we want to do. And I remember the other person commenting saying like the power that this guy has. Oh yeah. Is just next level. Tom Cruise will never be in a movie ever again that he was simply just cast in. Oh Lord, no. Right. Tom Cruise is going to do the projects that he wants to do, and they are very much going to be his movies. Oh yes. And I think it's easy for that to sound arrogant and cocky and kind of like you've got yourself on a pedestal. Mm-hmm. And that may be so if you're bad at it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But clearly he isn't. And clearly these are partnerships and collaborations that are welcomed because he is so extreme in his approach to filmmaking and his desire to deliver a certain product. It's an argument could be made that on some of these films, the strongest vision going is not the person who wrote the film or the person who directed the film. It's Tom Cruise. Right? He knows what this product needs to look like. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's again, like, I think we will be talking, or, maybe not the general public, but certainly the film industry will be talking about this film for a long time to come. Right? Like, literally in the same way that we talk about Toy Story as being the first fully computer animated film, in the same way that we talk about the leap forward that The Phantom Menace was from a CGI standpoint. Right. In the same way that we talk about Avatar with motion capture and what they accomplished, this is in that conversation. And will be for a long time to come. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if this fuels the let's make a theater-going event a focal point, and if that kind of catches off and just kind of, it'll be interesting. Yeah. Yeah. What else did you like, sir? Oh, I piggyback. You've talked about this, but just the training that the pilots went through. I just want to say, yes, that is impressive regardless. Just to say that, they went through these months of training, but it's also impressive just to compare what it would have been if they hadn't done that. Because in the original film, they had cameras, not at the same degree, but they had cameras to film the pilot, or film the actors when they were in the plane, pretending to be pilots. but none of the footage was usable because all the actors were throwing up.
Right.
So I guess I'm just saying it's not that, it made it a little bit more believable that they did this training so that, maybe they looked more intense when they were supposed to. It was like, no, they had to do this or else just it wasn't even going to be possible.
Oh, yeah. So this film went into production in 2010. And there were other setbacks. There were changing of directors and all this stuff, different stories and stuff. But and I think something you just said there is key. When they were sitting in the cockpits pretending to be pilots. Don't kid yourself. There are many shots in this film. There are 2 seats in that plane.
Sure.
2 seats. And so if you're seeing a shot where Phoenix, Lieutenant Phoenix is flying her F-18 and Bob is in the back, that actress is flying that jet. When Tom Cruise is flying and Rooster's in the back, that's Tom Cruise.
Now, I mean, Tom Cruise is a bit of an exception because that dude has he's like a licensed pilot. But I get your point. Your point. But
still, but there are many shots where there are people who had never flown a plane prior to this, let alone an F-18 jet.
Of course.
And so that's the thing is there's very little pretending that happens while they're in the air. And that is, I don't even know how to wrap my head around that. I don't know how to put it into words, let alone, it's not like I know what I'm thinking or my thoughts are very clear and I just can't vocalize it. No, right. I can't even, it's like when someone's talking about the size of the universe and they talk about stars and how many Earths could fit in such and such star. And I'm not talking about our sun. I'm talking about these crazy suns that make or stars that make our sun look like a breadcrumb. Right. And you're talking about quintillions and numbers like that. And you just physically, you can't comprehend that. You can't wrap your head around what exactly that means. I'm very close to that headspace right now in terms of what they did and how they did it and how well it worked. Yeah, I'm mind blown.
Something that I think about, and I just I don't think there's a definitive answer out there, but if you write a short story or work on something kind of creative or even write an essay for school or insert the blank and you let a bit of time go by because there's some time between when you finish it and the due date and you make some changes and sometimes it can look quite differently from when you thought you were finished to when you actually hand it in or finish it or show it to someone else or what have you. I'm just curious because this was done pre-COVID and there was a gap of period between when it was quote unquote done and released. I'm just curious if I'm going to say Tom Cruise, but I realize he wasn't the only part of this creative team, but I'm curious if when they finished it and then there was all these delays and then from the time of releasing it, if there were any subtle nuanced changes that they had made or if it was no, we are so committed to what we made that we are putting it in a vault and then when it's time to release it we feel so confident it doesn't need changes. I just wishing I could be a fly on the wall, I'm just kind of curious how that went down, but that's just something I'm curious because it's so unique to have a film in that circumstance where it was finished so long before being released.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not sure.
Yeah. Something I like just as a general, this is something that the film did well, is I think what I had always thought the sequel to Top Gun would be, and I think may have been an easy thing to do, would have been Maverick, yes, is the instructor for whatever reasons, and whether it's that it's his last opportunity in his career, or that, you know, he made all the right career decisions and now he's of importance and he's teaching the course. Whatever reasons that led him there. I think it would have been easy to have it that he's the teacher there, but plays a background role, and that he, you know, he's in some scenes and he says some lines that are carryovers from the previous film, but the focal point was these students. And I think obviously where this film gets its heart from, where the audience connects and sees character growth and things that have developed from the first film, is that Tom Cruise is still the focal point. And
yeah, and I think that was the right call.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, maybe there's an argument to be made when we're talking about ego and, you know, chip on your shoulder as far as an actor. And I think actors have to have that to a degree. Like, you got to believe in your brand. You can't be modest. Like, that's the nature of the game. I'm not criticizing. But I also think part of it was, I don't think Tom Cruise would have signed up if it wasn't that. Like, I don't think he was signing up for a guy to be in the opening scene in the middle and maybe cut some cake at the end when everyone's celebrating. Like, I think this was part of the vision that he had, and if that wasn't it, then he wasn't being a part of it.
Right.
And in this case, it was the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. Hands down.
I do like the carryover of famous lines, as I did just say that. The talk to me goose when Mav is doing the mock test and he's on the ship, kind of in reference to that time he throws Goose's dog tags overboard. And then when Goose Jr. or Miles says, talk to me goose, those were great. And then when there was the accident and Maverick has to kind of console or make Miles feel a little bit better, there's like the famous line that Mav says, there will be more, and that's what Viper said to Tom Cruise after Goose died. That, and in the time in '86, it seemed like a weird thing to kind of console someone, like, instead of being like, hey, I get that you're feeling sad, like, it's just like, oh, I'll get over it because it'll happen again. But this time it made emotional sense the way it was delivered, and I felt more okay about it.
Yeah. No, I concur. Do you have anything else that's like super pressing?
I'm just trying to scour here, and I don't think so. I think the mystique, the Tom Cruise movie star, and how he separated himself from the last few movie stars, like the Tom Hankses and the Leonardo DiCaprios. Like, he is, and this was illustrated throughout this whole pandemic too, because I remember like videos leaking out of him on set. I don't think it was this film, but I don't know, whatever films he was working on, and like I don't know, I don't remember the context. Like, I think maybe some workers weren't following pandemic guidelines or not wearing a mask or something, and it was just like a 2-minute video of him like screaming at people, and it was just like, essentially, hey, if we don't follow these like guidelines, we're getting shut down. That means you're out of a job, means he's out of a job, means we're all out of a job. We're like, just as an industry, we are just hanging on by a thread. So ship up. We have to, like, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And I think it just, to me, thinking of that video, that example, it just embodies again this movie star mystique that he has. This just like, yeah, he's got a certain vision for bringing a theater experience, like a blockbuster, and I just, again, it's so unique. Wasn't 30 years ago because there were blockbusters, but it's just so unique and it's just so iconic now that it's just, there's the circle of trust that's Leonardo DiCaprio in my mind. Tom Cruise has entered it, and that's just what it is.
Well, so that story was for the Mission Impossible movie, and it was
okay, yeah.
And it was a big deal because they were one of, if not the first film, like other films were all shut down. They're like, the industry is watching us right now.
Right. Yeah.
We're proving whether or not this can be done. Oh, he was livid. Yeah.
And if I remember the context, like, it made sense. Like, he wasn't just being a jerk for it. Like, it was just like, we are hanging on by a thread. You know, all your jobs are on the line.
It was like summer of 2020 and people weren't wearing masks or social distancing or, you know, whatever it was. Like, simple stuff that had become commonly accepted as what was supposed to be done at the time. And he just wasn't having any of it. Yeah. Scale it 0 to 10, sir. How would you rate Top Gun Maverick?
Okay, so I'll use my scale first. It's a no-brainer. Obviously, it makes the top tier. You have to see this in theaters. This is not for watching at the cottage, not for waiting till it's on Netflix. Not, see it in a theater where your seats will shake.
On the biggest screen you can. Yeah.
Biggest screen you can. Don't watch it on your iPhone at a bus stop. On a scale of 10, I was a little hard on it. And I might change my answer someday, but I'm being critical of it. I gave it the exact same score I gave the original Top Gun. I gave it a 7 out of 10. The original one, its strength is its storytelling, and what ruined it was just some of the visuals. The flight sequences weren't great. Visually, they just weren't sharp. There were times where they were supposed to be flying over the ocean and like mountains would appear, and just they reused footage, and it was just a sign of the times. It was an 80s action flick. This time, the visuals are just like the powerhouse for this, just incredible, both as a feat of what they accomplished, but just also just visually pleasing. I didn't dislike the story. I liked the direction that they went with some of it, but man, it could have been an 8, and man, it could have been a 9 if it had some of those changes, like I said, being a little bit more character rich, kind of either just doing away with romantic or answering the Charlie question or making me a bit more intrigued about the Penny thing. So a 7, but it could have been an 8 or a 9, and maybe it will be upon a rewatch or upon me thinking more, but it's a 7 out of 10.
At least it didn't go down. That means it was on par with the original. Yeah,
and they got there by very different means, but oh man, that opening scene where it was identical to the original, but then when the visuals kicked in of just like a sharper, amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you give this out of 10?
And this is so weird. This is not the way I expected this to go.
Because I think I also listened to clips of the old episode. I think around you either gave the original one a 6 or a 7. It was somewhere in that range.
Yeah. This is an easy 9.5.
Holy Hannah!
Yeah. And only because I'm very reserved about giving out 10s.
Well, you are. For sure.
So 9.5 seems... 9.8 was kind of what I was thinking, but it felt a little arbitrary. So 9.5, I think, is where I'm settling. Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, good for you.
Yeah, inhale that. Take that deep into your lungs.
Yeah, there's something about it when people ask me, I think, as weird as it sounds, when people first asked me what I thought, I was a little tempered, and the more I thought about it, the more warm I felt, and just thinking about how not keen I was to just say it was amazing right off the bat is what hurt my score a little bit, and so I think I was just critical of it. The nostalgia. I think if there was a Take My Breath Away sequence and a bit better of a closing song, I think that alone would have been enough. But still,
that's fair.
Solid effect. I can't remember how the last time I was that excited waiting for a new movie. I'm talking maybe Star Wars, Phantom Menace, or Clone Wars, or Revenge of the Sith, or even Lord of the Rings. Those where it was iconic, circle the calendar, cannot wait till it happens. It was a fun week, I'll tell you that.
Sure. Okay. All right. Look, I got a bunch of news to talk about here.
Sure. Is the first thing that Top Gun Maverick came out?
No. No. But it is that in 6 days, Top Gun Maverick has financially surpassed the original.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is some wild stuff.
So we have our first reactions from the upcoming Miss Marvel Disney Plus series, and they're fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. People are super excited about that. So that's
cool.
It is what it is. Yeah. Look, about a week ago, actor Ray Liotta passed away at the age of 67. And so that was, obviously known from Goodfellas and stuff like that. So Always tragic when we lose one of the greats. And this is certainly no different. Winnie the Pooh. A couple of weeks ago, a month or two ago, Winnie the Pooh as an IP, as an independent property, passed into public domain. Which means that, like, if you and I tomorrow wanted to go out and shoot a Winnie the Pooh movie, legally we can. The rights are fair game.
Let's do it.
And when something passes into public domain, weird things start to happen. Because literally anyone can do whatever they want. It has been announced, and we have set photos. This is not just like, we say we're going to do it. It is happening. There is a live-action Winnie the Pooh movie coming.
Okay.
Called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It is a live-action slasher flick.
Oh my gosh.
With a Winnie the Pooh and Piglet who are hunting down a grown-up Christopher Robin in sort of a revengeful because he abandoned them as he grew up film.
Sweet Moses.
And I am so here for it. Because it doesn't, it's such a departure from anything that we know about Winnie the Pooh. So I'm like, okay, like, all right. Like, this could be entertaining. Like, I don't think I'll need to own it. I don't think I'll go see it in the theater, but if it shows up on a streaming service or I can rent it or something like that, I'll watch it. Just to, it might even be worth doing an episode on just because it's such a bizarre flick.
Man.
What are your thoughts?
I am so not interested in watching it, but also kind of interested just to rip on it or I am
amazingly surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This next one. So I'll save this for last.
Sure.
We have our first trailer of Tom Hanks as Geppetto in the upcoming live action Disney Plus Pinocchio movie.
And who also, like, I feel like there's a trifecta now in my trusted circle. So it's Leo, Tom Cruise, and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Just
that seems pretty on point. Obi-Wan Kenobi. We now have 3 episodes.
We do.
And Moses Ingram, who plays Reva, the Inquisitor, the third sister, has been receiving a onslaught of racist DMs from the Star Wars fan community.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Come on. Be better.
It's so sickening.
Yep.
Like, and thankfully, like, Ewan McGregor posted a personal message about it, and
good.
And Star Wars has made a couple of statements, and it's just disgusting. Like, there's no place
for that.
There's no place for that in this world, and there's certainly no place for that in Star Wars fandom.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah, that's just garbage.
Yeah.
2 things left.
Okay.
And one is a big one, and one is one that's going to make you pee your pants a little bit. So I'm going to save the pee your pants one for last.
That's always a good call.
We have now finally concluded the 7.5 week circus that was the Amber and Johnny Depp defamation trial.
7 weeks. It was that
7
long.
weeks. Yeah. And Johnny Depp won. Now she was also awarded $2 million, and she plans on appealing or attempting to appeal. However, this case, it was decided by the jury that Amber Heard had was instrumental in an attempt to defame Johnny Depp using false and fabricated allegations about physical and sexual abuse. Now, I don't. Again, we've never given our opinions about who we believe and what we think about all of this. But what I do want to talk about, because I think it's important moving forward, is what happens to both of these actors' careers. Like, what effect will this have on the movies we watch? This is my opinion, and it's an opinion that's being echoed quite a bit throughout film pundits and industry experts. Johnny Depp's career was struggling a little bit prior to this trial and this stuff happening. However, I think that he will see a resurgence. Now, they're not going to bring him back into Fantastic Beasts because they've already recast that role. Yep. I would be very surprised if Disney brings him back for Pirates of the Caribbean. But I think other studios will start to cast him in things. There's a rumor going around right now that the Beetlejuice 2 that is being developed by Brad Pitt's production studio may have, and it's not being reported on super reputable sites right now, so we just take it with a grain of salt. But there is a rumor going around that Johnny Depp has been cast in it, alongside Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder. Wow. Johnny Depp, and this was something I was listening to someone today, and they used this analogy, and I think it's perfect. Johnny Depp was at the top of the mountain with his career. And when you get knocked halfway down the mountain, you're still halfway up the mountain. You're still, you're not a nobody.
Yeah.
Amber Heard's career is over. Because of now the decision that's been made, which is that she is a liar and that she did all these horrible things and that she is, malicious and what have you. Which is the jury's decision. I'm not telling you my opinion.
For sure.
But she never really, like, she wasn't a big actor. Right? She hasn't had these massive films that she's not an industry staple. She's not beloved by everyone. And so when you're only halfway up the mountain and you get knocked halfway down the mountain, you're now at the bottom.
Yep.
And I will be very surprised if a big studio, let alone any studio, decides this is someone we want representing our film, because it's at the end of the day, it's movie business and show business, and so it's not just about, is this person a good actor? I think Amber Heard is a great actor, but I would also say that, given light to what has just happened, I would also argue that many studios are going to look at her as a box office repellent. And that is not something that you want if you're making a movie. Because again, at the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents. So what are your thoughts on the career trajectories now of both of these individuals?
I think the only thing I'd focused on, and again, I'm kind of with you, who was right, who was wrong, who knows, but the decisions were made, and that's what they were. I think I had mostly just focused on, I was just curious if any studios would have backtracked a bit. And the first and foremost example is just like Johnny Depp being reinstated in the Fantastic Beasts series, which, I mean, obviously looks like it's not going to happen. But that, you raised a good point about, like, her perspective, and like whether a studio or not agrees with the decision that was made, even if they fundamentally think that was the wrong decision, from a public perspective, I think that
she's now box office cancer.
Ultimately,
yeah. Whereas he is now seen sort of as a victim, and a victim that was beloved for many, 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 many years and has a very deep and rich film catalog.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Finally, Jerry Bruckheimer, who is a well-known producer, filmmaker, was instrumental as a producer on Top Gun Maverick.
He very, very key.
Recently did an interview. Very recently did an interview, like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. And they were asked, because he was also instrumental in the National Treasure films.
Yes.
And he did an interview, and they were just simply asking him about Nicolas Cage. And they said, what is your working relationship like with Nicolas Cage? Do you think you'll ever work with him again? And Bruckheimer's response was to the effect of, I love Nicolas Cage. I think the man's a genius. He's amazing. I will certainly work with him again. We're actually in the process of finalizing the script for National Treasure 3.
I mean, pros and cons here. The con is like, what the heck have they been doing for 15 years? But
so there is a National Treasure Disney Plus television series coming with different leads. However, the actor that plays Riley Poole, Ben Gates' assistant, is not only in but appears to be instrumental in that Disney Plus series. So there's connective tissue there. And there's speculation that what if Nick Cage shows up in the final episode of the first season of this show and then the events of this show kind of lead into and trigger National Treasure 3.
Interesting.
Which I'm going to say right now, if this happens, if it gets off the ground and they start principal photography and it's coming, once we're done with Avatar 2, that will be what this podcast is working towards.
Absolutely.
Is National Treasure 3.
Absolutely.
And you and I, regardless of where we live, we will view this film in person. I don't care how complicated that is.
All three in person, more like it.
Yeah, we'll watch the first two. We'll have we'll both book the day off work, whatever needs to be done.
Quit my job.
As complicated as it will be to make happen.
Yep.
There's no effing way.
Yeah. I would hazard to say we might actually watch it in theaters and then just get back in line and watch it again. Just to soak every moment out of it.
I am like... if it hadn't been 10 at night, I thought about doing that for Top Gun Maverick, or at least just paying the ticket to just watch the intro again and then go home. There's no film I want more right now, I don't think. Like no sequel, no reboot, no whatever that I want as bad as to go back into that world.
Oh man,
it is like maybe they're not, like if you look at them objectively, maybe they're not the most amazing movies, but listen,
of course not, of course,
the pinnacle of cinema is Nicolas Cage stealing the Declaration of Independence.
It's true.
Like, oh my goodness, it is just cut from a different cloth.
National Treasure and the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes, if they had popped out one of those every other year, I honestly would just be shelling out money.
You'd be like, give me the t-shirt, give me the,
Yep.
I'll pay extra at Cineplex for the cup.
Yes.
With the topper. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Remember, did you ever go as a kid when you could get it was a box and all your snacks would go in, so a little square would be popcorn.
I never did that. I think
I was at a birthday party and I got it once.
I have a cupboard full of Hobbit cups and
nice.
Iron Man 3 cups and Age of Ultron cups. Every time I went, it was a staple. It was I'm going to get it. I've been tempted by a couple movies lately. There was a Batman one and there was a something, but I'm now I'm an adult and I'm it's $6 plus your $7 drink. And it's this is not worth it, man.
Right.
And I have 60 of them that I don't use regularly. So, what'd you watch this week, sir?
Two things. First, obviously, I watched Top Gun from 1986, and I spilled the beans that I gave it a 7 out of 10. But yeah, not perfect, but dang, I love this movie. Like I said, it's my Bad Boys to you. I think I forgot some specific elements of this film. It had been a while since I had seen it, and specifically how the romance ended. I loved the closing sequence with the jukebox and 50s song playing, and it has such a classic tone to the ending. Style over content, but just the Goose and Mav chemistry and just the emotion of the crash scene, like my everything about it I love. Just the colors, the tone, the landscape, the emotionally charged music that they play. It definitely tugs on my heartstrings, and so it's a strong film. Not as visually pleasing as the sequel, but the story and the 80s iconic element is just phenomenal. The only other thing I watched is I've got a few shortlisted MCU films that I'm starting to rewatch. Haven't gotten too far, but the first one I watched is the 2018 Avengers Infinity War. I had not seen it since I saw it in theaters. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's not a bad film, but there's about equal things that I like to what I dislike. It's a bit of a buzzkill of a film. It's also just one of those films that a lot of stuff has to happen to lead towards films that follow. So I watched it because I had to, but the payoff wasn't there for me. So I'm excited to watch the other ones that are on my rewatch list. But I felt like I had to watch this just to remember what was all at stake.
My guy, you need to be putting your energy into watching the Disney Plus MCU shows that you have neglected to watch.
There are so many.
My goodness.
Oh, I guess the only other thing
things are going to stop making sense for you moving forward.
Which, yeah, that's a risk. I guess the only other thing, I also watched the first 3 eps of Obi-Wan.
Right. Well, yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
I was watching an interview with Ewan McGregor where he was talking about, he said, because he had never acted with Darth Vader before. He'd never had a scene with him. Right. And so he said, they were there and they did a dress rehearsal and Hayden didn't have the helmet on or whatever. And then Ewan was getting done up in the makeup chair and then, they yell action and Vader was approaching behind him and he turns around and it was the first time he'd ever seen this 7 foot tall. And he said, I've been acting for a long time and I thought I'd seen it all. I'd been in horror movies and they're not, they're not scary. He says, it was I had trouble catching my breath. He said it was like I was transported back to 7 years old. And he said the only way I can describe it was genuine fear because just Vader was coming at him, Darth Vader. Jeez. And yeah, man, what are your thoughts so far without giving any spoilers? Just,
Yeah. Oh, so it's a short series. It's only 6 episodes. And the 2 first episodes came out simultaneously. I was a little underwhelmed by the first 2. In a series where 2 episodes is a third of the series, I understand that in any show you need to lay the foundation, get things going. And I just thought, wow, there's a lot of filler. There's a lot of setup here. There's not a whole lot that I'm, really gleaning here. But the 3rd episode picks up a bit. I'm a little underwhelmed overall. I think what I'm here for is just some cool elements that we've been teased towards. And so far, Star Wars Rogue One has delivered some of those cool moments for me, and it hasn't been matched yet. So that's what I'd say my initial impression would be. What do you think?
I disagree wholeheartedly. I'm enthralled. I think the character building that they're doing, I'm enthralled. And so sure. Listen, the buzz, so 6 episodes. However, the buzz on the internet right now is this past weekend was Star Wars Celebration.
Yes.
Right, so they release all the trailers and the interviews and guest appearances and whatever. And Ewan McGregor was on stage and he was thanking the fans for their support with the first 2 episodes. And he said, I loved watching episode 1 and 2 with you, and I hope that you all love episode 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And then he pauses for a second and smiles and he says, and then 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. Thank you, everyone. Good night. And he walks off stage. And so we don't know what is happening. Whether he was joking, but it kind of didn't seem like he was. And if he was, it was kind of a weird joke to like. So I don't know. They might have something up their sleeve, man.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. What else did you watch? Is that...
No, I watched the Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers movie.
Oh, wow.
And it was amazing.
Have you not? I thought have you seen it before?
No, I watched the documentary about him a couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
This was amazing. And there was a moment that made me cry. Like, yeah, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend. Even I was not a Mr. Rogers kid, so that's not a variable here. Yeah. And it was still breathtaking. And then
I think I just want to piggyback because you made me watch that doc. The documentary is incredible. Mr. Rogers is incredible.
Oh yeah,
the film is good. Tom Hanks is perfect for the role. I just think I would have liked it a bit more of the focal point on him versus
It's very much about the journalist.
Very much about the journalist, which was shown by Tom Hanks. It got an Oscar nom for, I think, Best Supporting Actor. So I think I just would have preferred the focus being a bit shifted in that, but it's still a solid film.
Still a solid film. Yeah. And then so you know me, if a film has more than one, I don't just be like, oh, let's watch this one film from this series. It's like, okay, I guess we're starting this series. Between last week and this week, we have begun a series with 5, 6, 7, 8 parts in it. And we've watched the first 2.
Okay.
And it's a series that I've maybe seen like scenes and clips. And then it's so well known that like obviously there's cultural references where you feel like you've seen it, but you've just heard it like referenced or parodied or whatever so many times. But I am, for the first time in my life and Brianne's life, we are watching the Rocky films.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we watched Rocky last week, and literally just before sitting down to record, we watched Rocky 2.
There's 8 of them?
Well, so there's Rocky 1 through 5. Then there's Rocky Balboa, which was kind of a like reboot. Not reboot, but like 15, 20 years later, return to the series. And then there's Creed 1 and 2, which feels like you gotta, you gotta lump that in. So, yeah.
Wow, ambitious.
Yeah, Rocky. It just feels like, how can I call myself a movie man?
Yeah.
And not have seen Rocky.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good for you.
Wrap it up, sir.
Well, thank you all for listening. Whether this is your first episode joining us or whether you've been with us from the beginning or maybe just from the first time we listened, or first time rather we talked about Top Gun, thank you for listening. Like, follow, subscribe anywhere you possibly can, specifically Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out our Patreon page, merchandise page. Help us pay some bills. Help us pay you back with some perks. And again, until next week where we will be doing a vote. Where you depending on when you listen to this, there might still be time to vote. There might not be, depending, if you listen to this right away or 2 years from now or 2 weeks from now, whatever. But we will be back next week with a vote.
And go see Top Gun Maverick.
Do it. Oh, man, do it.
On a big screen.
Yeah.
Like the biggest, if you got to, if there's
iPad.
a theater like 30 minutes away and it has an IMAX, then go.
Right.
It wasn't an option for us in this theater. It wasn't showing one that had it, but you can get those like D-box seats where they like rumble. And I was like, if there's ever a movie to do that,
Jeez.
this would be the one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then did you know that 2 weeks from now, we're back in the theater again?
For another iconic series.
Jurassic World, man.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, you know, it just keeps hitting. We've got like Thor, Love and Thunder coming up. We've got Lightyear coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big times.
Can't wait.